What's that movie? Step Brothers, when they go to hug at the end and they're not sure how to do it.
Hey folks, welcome back.
You always...
Mainville ATV and Outdoors, where we do all things all-terrain. Today we're going to be doing something you guys requested, and it just so happened to be good timing. We're going to be washing our bikes and showing you guys how we detail our machines. So we have a lot of helpful tips, and then we're going to show you how we do it. It's not necessarily how everyone should or will, but this is what we do, and thought we would share. We also have a few codes to give away for discounts, so that's for you guys. You're gonna have to stay tuned and like, comment, subscribe while I got your attention, and let's roll the intro. Helpful tip number one, and this is for all the dudes out there: go back in the house and get some work pants on.
Yay! Oh, I'm so proud of you.
This is for all the wives out there who buy those really nice jeans for their husbands and they ruin them in the shop. So that's my first tip to getting this done right.
Thank you.
So the process is pretty simple for us. We're gonna get into that, but first I want to give away those codes to you guys. So these are codes with dirtylife.ca. They're one of our major sponsors. They've helped us out through and through, thick and thin. They're very great folks down there. And they supplied us and our viewers, you guys, two codes. One is Mainville-tires, which I'm gonna have right here because I'm super sick at editing. So that one there is for EFX and MSA tire sets, the rims and tires from EFX MSA. So that's one of their major tire deals that they have going on, and that's 10% off your tires and wheels. The next code is Mainville, straight up, and that's 5% off anything at dirtylife.ca. So that's pretty cool. So that also includes products that we're going to be using in this video right now. And now we're going to get into the products and what we use to start washing the machines. When we wash our machines, we either use a power washer or just a hose. Sometimes we use both. It depends on how you want to get things done, and they both have pros and cons. We're going to get into that in a second. But we're going to get into three products today. I'm out of one, so you're going to see two, but there's three that we're going to talk about. So the first thing is the bike cleaner concentrate that we use from Muck Off. And again, this is available at Dirty Life. So the concentrate, you just break down with water. There's instructions on the back. You put it into a spray bottle. After you rinse the machines, you spray some of this down, and it really breaks down a lot of that muck, so you can muck off, right?
We use just an old Windex bottle to mix ours. Yeah,
Windex, what's up? So we do use this just to spray it. Another option, if you are the handy type, is we have a weed sprayer, and we just fill that up with the right ratio according to the instructions, and that makes spraying it on a lot easier.
Instead of just a million pumps.
So at the end, when we're looking to get that crazy shine, we use Silicon Shine, again by Muck Off. So again, this isn't a sponsored thing. This is literally us really loving a product. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can use dish soap if you really want to do. As far as the shine, there's many different products out there like SC1, Tire Shine, WD-40 I've even seen used.
Power Purple.
The reason why we like this product is it doesn't take a whole lot of it to get the job done. It doesn't leave that sticky, greasy residue like WD-40 or some of these other products would do. So that's what we like to use, and now we're going to show you how we use it. So the first step, honestly, is just to get the big stuff off. And this is tip number two. When you're out riding, if you're a big mud rider and all that, and you're going through water and all that stuff, a really helpful tip is on the way out from your ride, if you can, get into a water body or a puddle of some sort and just splash all the big stuff off. That's a really helpful way that when you're done the ride, you get a lot or the majority of the big stuff off. We didn't do that in this case. We didn't have a real big body of water to really clean off, and we wanted to show you guys the cleaning process here. So we left everything on it. A little bit's washed off from stuff we went through, but they're still very mucky, and we'll get into that. So step number one is just rinsing off the machine. We're going to use a power washer. And of course, as some of you may know or may not know, you got to be careful with a power washer, especially around electrical and your rad. Those are the two major things you need to think about when you're washing your machine. So when it comes to your rad and electrical, just either ease off, get some distance, or ignore it completely and come back with a hose. And that's why I mentioned it earlier. Sometimes just a hose with a garden extension or end on it is just the way to go for some things. So first up is the power wash phase. So we'll get some shots of that, get some shots of the machine, show you that they're filthy, and yeah. So at this point, you've got the machine rinsed, and this is where a lot of people kind of just call it quits. But I find this the actual worst part. So you've got it rinsed, you got a lot of the big stuff off, but you'll notice when it dries, you've got all of that mud kind of caked into your scratches and all that stuff. So it's clean, all the mud's off of it, but now you actually have to get around and either agitate that stuff, so you basically just rub it with a rag or a brush or whatever, and you can get that stuff out. And the other really annoying thing, if you ride a lot of skeg or mud or whatever, grass, swamp, that kind of thing, a lot of the grass will get stuck all in the frame. So what you have left is basically that. So now Cass and I go around and we find chunks like this stuff down here, right? And you got to pull this all out.
Look, I did my part.
All of that stuff. So we're going to do that. And then you'll see, like, here it's already drying. There's a bunch of like scratches filled with mud. So that's where we start getting into the detailing portion. And it's usually where we go a little farther than most. God. Yeah, the last run was a mess. So we're going to get all of that stuff out of there. Like, look at all this. It's just caked in there everywhere. So we have to pull that out, because no matter what you do, you're not going to get this out unless you just blast it. And all you're going to do is keep making a mess all over yourself.
It gets wrapped around stuff. Especially like axles and shafts and stuff like that. So we're going to pull all that out now, and we're going to get to detailing. So this is the portion, now that we've got a lot of the grass out, that there's a lot of little things you can't get in with a power washer, or at least you shouldn't. So that's why if you've been using a power washer up until now, or a hose, this is where we switch to a hose. So there's a lot of little spots we have to get into, or rads, or electrical, and that's where you want to be really careful. So this is where that comes in. Just use a shower and just agitate it a little bit, get your fingers in there, get all the crap out, and it'll be good to go. So like one spot, for example, on my quad anyway, is right up here by the headlights. All of that stuff there. So I'm going to get in there and just rinse that out and get all the stuff out of there. But yeah, so this is where it comes in, like the rad here, for example, too. That's not somewhere you want to blast it with a power washer, so you can just go and rinse. Easy peasy. Takes a little bit of time, but eventually all that mud will run through. So that's the final step to the rinse. We'll get that done and we'll show you the detailing portion. At this point, we've got it all rinsed up. We got majority of the grass out there. This isn't a perfect thing. It's one of those fine stuff.
Exactly. Especially like tomorrow when everything dries, you'll find a bunch of crunchy grass hiding somewhere you didn't see. That's fine. The point is to try and keep care of it the best you can, and this really helps, especially when you're bringing it in for maintenance and that kind of thing. It's nice and clean. Mechanics really appreciate that. It was 90% of my job as an apprentice, just washing machines. It is what it is. But at this point, we've got everything pretty well cleaned up, and this is where we start to detail. That's where some of the products come in. But let me show you something. I was telling you about agitation, right? So we already cleaned this. So you can see all the mud gets into the pores. It gets into scratches and stuff like that. And this is where the Muck Off really shines. You can replace this with any product that you like. We just choose Muck Off because it's our favorite.
We've tried and tested different products. We've
You know, we've been pursued for different sponsorships, and after trying a lot of different products, this is actually not Windex, but the Muck-Off is what we prefer in terms of time saving, in terms of efficiency, in terms of just how well the product works overall, even if it took a while. But it kind of saves us time in a lot of ways.
Like we said, we could have had a lot of different products for free. We choose to pay for this because we just enjoy it so much. It helps us out. We always wash our machines after a ride. We do this a lot, as you can imagine. At this point, we have like 211 videos. So we've washed our quads many times.
Yep. And the thing is, it doesn't just help clean it for maintenance and all that, but it'll help, wherever that is. It helps with the mud not getting so caked on your next ride. If that, it's preventative in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
So for this next portion, you don't have to do it with 2 people, but what we like to do is I'll be rinsing and Cass will be ahead of me spraying the Muck-Off on there. You want to give it a little bit of time to set, so she'll get ahead of me quite a bit. But the tricky part is you also don't want it to sit too long. It starts to dry and leave soap sud stains and stuff like that. So that's why you just rinse a little bit and then you spray the Muck-Off. You either agitate it with a sponge or your hand or whatever, or a lot of times in light scenarios like a trail ride and you're just dusty or whatever, little bits of mud, it'll just come right off. Really good stuff. So that's step 2 out of 3 out of this process.
And what I tend to do is, if there's a little bit of stuff left that hasn't been agitated through this part, if we just rinsed and washed, I'll agitate it during the detailing portion with the silicone spray. So when you've got your cloth and you're spraying and detailing with the silicone spray, that's where you can kind of buff out any imperfections that you find once it's dry.
Little stuff.
Yeah, because a lot of this stuff will only pop up once it is dry, so.
Right. So at this point, it is officially clean. But step 3 is to wait for it to dry and apply the silicone spray or SC1 or whatever WD-40 product, anything to shine up the plastics, kind of give it a little bit of oomph.
We call it poo, pride of ownership.
On top of that, a side perk is that when you apply this stuff, a lot of the mud that you go into next time tends to just slump right off. So there's a bit of a preventative thing, especially if you do it right before the ride. Just coat that stuff on. It really, really helps. So while you're waiting for it to dry, you can still be productive. One thing that I want to do right now is pull out the entire winch cable, because stuff gets jammed in there and you just want to wipe it back down and make sure that it's seated nice and proper and get it nice and coiled up right. So that's what we're going to do next while we wait for it to dry. So this is the last piece, and my personal favorite, the silicone shine. This is your shiny detailedness. And so a little tip, if you're going to use this indoors, which is fine, try to use a respirator. It's not good for you. It's naphtha based. It could kill you. Okay, so you heard it from me. Safety third, kids.
Maybe open a window at least.
Yeah, tips for using it outside. Wind can carry aerosol away pretty quick, so if you want to make use of this the best you can, just get nice and close, get some in, and then find a nice either a microcloth or a shop towel or whatever, and then you just rub it around. It's super good for porous stuff. Try not to use it too much on like your seat or handlebars. It can be a little slippery for a bit until it fully dries, but super good stuff. We're gonna put some on. It is water repellent. We didn't fully let the machine dry. We just kind of towel dried it for now. Usually we do this like a day later so that everything's dry, but if it runs into water, not a big deal, but it will start to repel some of that water and doesn't apply that well. So you just grab a nice dry spot. Let's find a good comparison here. This fender here, I rolled the quad over, so it's very scratched. This stuff here does a great job of filling in a lot of that. So make sure you give it a good shake.
Even back here where it got sucked in. Oh, it smells so good.
It does smell really good.
I always forget.
But yeah, you just give that a little spray. I tend to use a little too much, but that's all right. And even being right up close to it, knowing what I'm looking for, it's visibly better. And when you get the whole machine done, that's how I get that effect on video. You guys are always saying like, how's your bike minty fresh all the time? It's basically that. Another fun fact is machines always look better on camera than they do in person. I hate to ruin your dreams, but if you were here in person, you'd be able to find all sorts of stuff that's a little off. But yeah, so yeah, video makes it look a lot better. This stuff does a great job though, especially on these more porous plastics, and you can get her shined up. So that's pretty much the last step. We're gonna coat this thing and this machine's done. And sadly, we have 2 quads, so we have to repeat the whole process.
Rinse, wash, repeat.
On that guy.
And it's getting so cold.
Not only that, we have waders and helmets and jackets.
Oh,
and
there and
all
there.
sorts of stuff. So we do put a lot of effort behind the scenes to be presentable to the best of our ability, give you guys a little bit of a wow factor all the time. So if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe. I gotta finish up. We'll see you guys next time.